Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie. Well, it's related to the writer's life, so I think we should talk about it.
I think the writer's life is definitely tied to coffee. And why are you not having coffee today?
There we are. Good. Good preamble, good segue, good setup, whatever you want to call it. So, the writer's life is inextricably tied to caffeine.
Yeah.
And I've been having a lot of it lately. I don't know if it's necessarily coffee that does this to me, but if I have a lot of energy drinks, I get twitches in my face and typically around my eye.
Right.
So I don't know what the problem is. Sometimes it's my eyelid. Mm-hmm. It'll twitch, and it really messes with my vision. Right. Lately, it's been around my eye socket. So I'll have this weird twitch right here. Mm. And that's when I know I need to kind of wean myself off caffeine for a little bit.
Interesting.
Build up.
I always get my eye twitches from stress, not from anything that I eat or drink.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
This didn't happen. This didn't start happening to me until way late in life. So I think it's just my body not able to process all of the stuff in energy drinks, L-carnitine and guarana and whatever else is in there.
So this is like yesterday. It started.
No, it's been going for a while actually. All right. But I needed the caffeine to get through my days. So I'm like, I guess I'm going to have eye twitches for a while. And what it always makes me think of is Ian McKellen, because he's got this thing with his right eye, right? Like it does something like that. It's weird. So you'll see him in like, the Lord of the Rings movies, and he's got these close-ups and he's looking at something and then...
How you doing?
Exactly.
Well, anything that you'd like to talk about that is related to movies other than coffee? The movie writing process?
I wish I had made the time to see, what is it? Glass?
It is Glass.
Glass, right. Okay. So that we could talk about it. But alas, I didn't have the time today.
A glass.
I do have a glass. And you're Brian Glass.
This is true, alas.
Let's see. So about the script. To everyone watching, we're going to have a change in format temporarily to accommodate some scheduling issues. And I thought we were going to do that this week. So my writing, I thought I was going to have 2 full weeks of just writing. I was going to write, and I was going to surprise Brian with like a completed script. There you go, 150 pages. But then I realized I had the dates wrong, because that's what happens when you get too busy. You just don't even care about dates anymore. You just think, what day of the week is it? Okay, on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do this, that kind of thing. And that's just my life.
More caffeine.
Yeah, I just need more caffeine. Exactly. Just inject it into my brain. You
still gave me 8 pages, man.
Yeah. Well, great. A lot of it is dialogue, and a lot of it, it's we're getting to the iconic scenes that I had in my mind, and I think that came across.
Yeah.
So there we are.
That's a good build-up. I did see a couple movies this week. One which was pretty good, and one which was not. So the pretty good one was. I'm a little late to the party on this, but Bad Times at the El Royale.
That was good?
Yeah.
Man, it looked awful.
It was really interesting.
Okay.
I was surprised because I don't really know the director, Drew Goddard. I guess he did that Joss Whedon flick, the Cabin in the Woods, which is okay. It was a movie, I think, that tried something, didn't quite get there.
Okay.
But stylistically, I wasn't impressed with Cabin in the Woods at all. It was just an interesting idea. But this one was like a very mature style. Like, this is not what I would expect from someone like this. And he let the camera just sit there. It was not over the top. It was just we're gonna let the setting and the actors really take the weight of the scenes, and it was really interesting. It was about 5 or 10 minutes too long, quite honestly.
Oh, all right.
But it could have definitely been trimmed. So it was a little bit too long, and there's a place towards the third act, it kind of drags. Maybe it loses the direction a little bit, but boy, what a fun ride until then.
Okay.
And it still ended okay, but it was, the first 2 acts are much better. So that was cool. And then I saw Glass, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it was, Unbreakable is one of my top 5 movies. I absolutely love that movie. It's just, for me, it's always been one that I can watch over and over again and just really love the pacing. That is a very similar movie where it's all, again, very deliberate in its pacing.
Okay.
And I really like that style. I like, when Quentin Tarantino sets up a scene, not the crazy ones, but just where it slowly brews and you kind of build up the tension. And I felt there was that in Unbreakable quite a bit. I felt there was that in El Royale quite a bit. So I like that. I like those types of movies. Glass was just like a lot of setup and like no payoff. And then you start thinking about it. Well, why didn't they just? And I hate movies when I feel like that. Exactly. And I hate when I'm watching a movie and I'm a half hour in going, oh, I'm so disappointed already. I don't think this is going anywhere good.
Yeah.
Especially and I was so surprised by Split. I didn't see that coming. That was going to be such an interesting movie and fun. Just a fun movie. This was a shame.
Oh,
it's but a really interesting idea that is not realized at all. So sorry for fans who are watching this. I hope you enjoyed it more than I did, but tell them like it is, man.
Well,
M. Night is like hit or miss, big time.
I think
it's not Lady in the Water
miss.
bad, but it's it's a shame, is what it was. So
he directed this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go. There it is.
M. Night. I always feel like M. Night's kind of like a Lucas. If he just had someone strong that was a partner, they could just tell him, you've got some great ideas here. The rest of the stuff, scrap. What are you doing? Let's run with your great ideas.
Yeah.
And I feel like Lucas is just like so, so rich and powerful within his realm.
Yeah.
No one's going to stand up to him because they all want to be like sycophants.
Right.
I
want to get to that point. A sycophant.
You should, Renee. I agree with you. About everything. God. Anyway, I think that M. Night could be really good consistently if he had someone there with him. Anyway, so that's my movie experience for the week.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah. So, as I had alluded to, or I don't really know if it's alluding to, as I had mentioned earlier, next week is going to be a little different. I had thought maybe I'll go watch Glass and do like a 5-minute review and make that be like a filler episode. But instead we have something different. It's going to be a little surprise, and I hope people who watch this channel will enjoy it. Maybe it will open up our show to a whole new audience.
Wow. So the interesting thing that no one knows who's watching is that I also am going to be surprised. Renee has not divulged.
Oh, do you want me to tell you, Brian?
No, I'll be surprised. I'll be a fan for a week.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Yeah. I'm a fan now. What am I saying?
There
I'll
you
be
go.
An even bigger fan.
Fantastic.
I'll be a sycophant. Everything you did was great, Renee.
Sycophant.
Sycophant.
All right, man. Well, I don't know if I have any other pre-show stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
All right, lay it on me.
Well, I think I alluded to this last week that I wanted to get back to my project as well.
Oh, okay.
So I did spend some time this week working on it. And I found myself mired in the enormity of it all. Like I could very easily sit down and type, start typing, and I see the scenes in my head as they're playing out.
Yeah.
I can play that out, and I think that's fun. But I think I would be doing a disservice to my project, which is a little bit more a little longer than a movie, right? It's going to happen over several episodes, almost like a mini series.
Yeah.
So I've spent some time mapping out the entire journey, and initially it was like 2 episodes I kind of had figured out, and then my idea was to span it over 9, and I got it to the point where I had like 7 of them pretty well mapped out, and then I kind of mapped out 8 and 9 as well. But boy, what a process! Like I was as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, how did you do this without like not writing an outline? Like I've written several things. Nothing's really stuck in terms of the format. I'm still trying to find my legs on this project.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't imagine. I know you did a treatment, but I felt like that was more for me and for the show. Almost like you had that all in your head anyway. So it's just, I think it's a little peculiar that you're able, I mean, maybe it's not, but to me, it seems peculiar that you could just go from what's in your head to the page. I don't know if I really have a question in there other than maybe is this how you've done every one of your projects, or is
Yes.
this more of an anomaly?
No. So I tip like I said in episode 1, I don't even write a treatment.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'll finish a script first and then break it down into a treatment, which is typically very hard because you have to now condense this thing that you've spent like, however many months it took you to write the script, condensing it to fit 120 pages. And now you say, oh my God, that was just an impossible task. I can't believe I did it. And then someone says, shrink it down to 20 pages. Right. And then, you're pitching a producer and he's like, shrink it down to 2 pages.
Right.
And then, you have to write a log line for it. Shrink it down to 2 lines.
Right.
Anyway, so, that's, I think that's where my copywriting chops come into play, come in handy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much copywriting though. I think you have to see it all.
Oh, well, okay. So let's get back to the bigger question.
Yeah.
So I think I have this, we'll say, unique ability to contain a story all at once. My challenges are, I don't actually have the entire story. I think I do, right? I have the entire story, but I don't have the detail of the story. So,
right.
you're seeing a picture, but some parts you don't care about, like every little strand in the guy's or this person's hair, let's say. Mm-hmm. This person has hair, but do you know where, the exact shape of everything? Sure. And it's like, no, you don't, but it's not important because it's a picture of someone's face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until you get to the point where you have to draw the picture and you're like, oh God, how does this person's hair look? I have no idea, let me try to figure it out. So there's that. And then the other challenge I have is, it's like, did you see Johnny Mnemonic?
No.
Right? Oh, okay. So very quickly, just to make this analogy work.
As long as you don't talk about a dolphin.
No, I'm not going to talk about a dolphin. So one of the pressing issues for the main character is that he's a data courier, and so he's given up a chunk of his brain to put a hard drive in there, and that's his long-term memory. So he doesn't know about his past, basically, which I think that's a pretty cool idea, right? So this hard drive has a certain amount of capacity, and it's funny if you watch it now, it's like the capacity is nothing, right? It's like they make it sound like, oh my God, that's so much space. Wow,
512 kilobytes.
Well, it's in the gigabytes, but I'm just saying it's like, okay, who cares? I got a freaking SD card with more than that. Anyway, so he gets this data that's, it's critical data. He doesn't know what it is because it's encrypted, but it's twice the capacity of what he can carry. But because he needs to do one last job before he retires, right? He forces it in there, but it's causing all of these like problems physically with him. Yeah. To be honest, I know I made you watch Constantine. It's a Keanu Reeves movie, Johnny Mnemonic.
Of course it is. That's all you showed me, apparently.
Yeah. And it's actually one of those movies like I go back to. Like I didn't think much of it when I saw it the first time in the theater, but it's one of those movies I go back to and I just think like, I really like this idea. And, the execution is whatever. I mean, it's the 90s, but it's, it's still a fun time. Anyway, so with that said, my issue is that while I can contain the story, it's when I have to contain the multiple branches within the story that I could have taken it down and have to kind of remember, like, all right, I didn't choose path A, where so-and-so lives, or this person turns out to be a betrayer or whatever. I chose path B, but what if I don't like path B after like 10 or 15 pages? I have to remember how path A went and how that would have gone. And it's not just one path. It's like, it's like multiple paths breaking along this story that I don't fully have realized. And so having to contain all of that is the thing that is, that's the most stressful for me.
I got to imagine anyone who's watching this is just like, yeah, that's not for me. I'm going to write this down. They got to be like me. They got to be like, no, it's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's because I'm lazy, Brian. I don't like to do rework. That's the thing.
No, I think it's your memory. This is probably just an adjunct to your really good memory. And you would mention that you'd like to forget, just archive your past, but most of us do. We don't remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
You do remember those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Anyhow, man, it's a different challenge. We could talk about it offline sometime, but it's been difficult, man. Difficult to try and get this thing started the way I think I should, because otherwise I feel like I'm not going to set it up properly, and I want to make sure that the pacing's right and this and that. So, cool on you to not have that issue, man. I think you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, once you have it all down on paper, there will be a lot of rewrites and all
totally,
that,
totally.
So.
And I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping it at a very high level. I know I'll fill in those details, but even that is like, you get to logic problems. Like, well, why would he do this? Or why would she do that?
There you go. Exactly.
I need to get from A to C, and I can't quite figure out B. Like, I'm kind of like you, where you mentioned you've got your big scenes.
Yeah.
I know some of those scenes. I just don't know how I'm going to bridge that gap necessarily.
Exactly.
And I don't want to leave that to chance. It's like it's a little bit too frightening because I've got strands that I've got to make sure that are accounted for.
There you go, Brian. There it is. So,
but it's interesting though. I think a lot of people, when they think about writing a movie, it's about how am I going to create good dialogue, or how am I going to make sure that this comes off the page.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's got to be a good story.
Yes.
It's got to be an interesting, unique story. What are you going to do? Then how are you going to tell it?
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
To be honest, I know, when we quote movies, we're quoting dialogue, right? And I don't know if the things we quote are things that the writer or writers thought, yeah, this is good dialogue, right? Or if it was just something that stuck out for this scene. It was a combination of stuff, and it's the dialogue that is the keystone, I guess. I wouldn't even say that. It's really the reference marker. It's not because I think the dialogue was necessarily something that, oh, that was so badass, right? Like if I said, he slimed me, right? We would all know what that meant.
Right.
Right? But is that awesome dialogue? No.
Right.
But it was part of this iconic scene. Or, I see dead people, right? To talk about Shyamalan.
Right.
That captured the zeitgeist for however many months. But is that awesome dialogue? No. In fact, it's kind of utilitarian. It's like, wait, what's your problem, kid? Oh, I see dead people. Okay.
That is a problem.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. Love is the delivery and the treatment, and there's so much that goes into it.
Totally.
So does that mean that the writing is just not as important? We should just not worry about it. Get the script done. Just get it out there.
Yeah. I think that's probably it. To be honest, let's be blunt, right? Like I can spend all this time turning this into a masterpiece, getting just like the perfect descriptions or whatever. Right. Give it to a director. It's going to change.
Yeah.
It's going to change. So
absolutely will. I guess when you're lucky, I mean, when you've been doing this for a while, though, I believe that they
Consult me.
they consult with the writer. I think after from the beginning, they're just like, yeah, great, we bought the script, now let's make it what we want.
Right.
Keep the parts we like and toss out the rest.
No, they're gonna. I mean, if this goes anywhere, it's gonna be optioned and it's gonna sit on a shelf until a competitor studio has some kind of like Western horror feature, and they're like, oh, what do we have? Oh, go through the shelves. Oh, here we go.
Something like that.
Is this writer still alive?
Looks like it stars an Asian. Well, we can do that. We can make that work.
Yeah, exactly. I think by then, though, Brian, I mean, everything will be made for China anyway, so
right.
It'll be there. How many Asians are in it? Just one? Get rid of that one.
Exactly. Let's switch it around a little bit.
Yeah.
One white guy. Sam. The jerk.
Yeah, the evil guy. All right, Brian, is there anything else you want to discuss before we jump into the script?
Let us jump.
Okay. Fantastic. Looks like I get to do a lot of talking today.
Yeah.
I think it's a good mix, actually.
What's funny is the voice I could hear very clearly, surprisingly, was Jebediah.
Oh.
Something about the way like it's written.
Yeah.
I can hear very clearly in my head like how it has to be. It just has to be delivered a certain way. I really like that. His like cadence. It's fun.
Well, I hope to do him justice then.
I'm sure you will. Are we starting at exterior outpost?
That's it.
All right. You got the script up?
I do.
Boom. Here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm still in the middle of my sickness, so pardon me if I get scratchy in the middle.
Okay.
Try not to.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Exterior outpost, continuous. Soldiers and townsfolk man the walls of this relatively large structure. They're firing at will at the last of the infected and undead gathered here. Bodies are strewn everywhere. Stan, Maggie, Ray, and Tommy appear in the distance.
Stan, don't shoot! We got a woman and child! Townsfolk number 4. It's the sheriff! Let him in!
Interior outpost, moments later. Stan and company run inside, and the gate is shut behind them. Survivors are huddled together in the small courtyard. A dozen men man the wall. A soldier climbs down to meet Stan.
Epitaph soldier number 3. Sheriff? Stan. Are we safe? Epitaph soldier number 3. For the time being, got plenty of food and water, and got a small ammunition stockpile in the back. We'll get through the night.
Stan sighs in relief. Near the ammunition dump, wounded are tended to. Stan and company head over. Sarah and Jimmy from the train greet Stan as his group sits.
Jimmy. Sheriff, am I glad to see you. Sarah. Do you know what's happening? The soldiers won't tell us anything. Stan. Did I say Sarah? I did, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Stan. You know as much as me. All we can do is survive until sunup. I'm going to see what I can do to help. Turns to leave. Jimmy, standing. Sheriff, wait up.
The two walk out of earshot of the group.
Jimmy, I don't think it's safe here. He stands closer to Stan. Some of the wounded are acting strange, talking to themselves. There's a kid back there who just keeps going through the alphabet.
They turn to see a small child drawing a crude D on the wall, using the blood from a bite on his arm. The wall is covered in crude letters. Suddenly, a man runs between Stan and Jimmy and rams his head into a post. Again. Again. Stan and Jimmy watch in horror. Others begin to notice, including soldiers on the wall who point their rifles inward. Interior, Wells Green Bank, continuous. Sally keeps watch outside, gun in hand. Long watches over Everett, who sits in a chair wearing Long's manacles.
Everett, I was right about you. Long, oh, which part? My devilish good looks or my rapier wit? Or is it the part where you watch me die? Everett, you're as evil as they come.
Okay, I gotta get ready for this line. Long makes a face as he considers where he ranks in evilness.
Let's pause for a second there. Come on, that's awesome, right?
It is awesome. I laughed when I read it.
All right, let me get the script back up here. Because, to be honest,
Yeah.
Brian, I thought, I wonder how, where does long rank? And I kind of made that face, that kind of like, I said, that goes in the script now.
When I read that, it was like, pure René coming through. Nice.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we are. Everett. People are dying out there, and all you want is to rob this bank. Long. All I want is to survive. The best chance I have is with my friends. They want silver, I go with them. Everett. Coward. Long, in Cantonese. Son of a bitch. In English. Remember where you are, Marshal. You are not in control. I decide if you live or die. Do not test me.
An explosion from the center of town lights up the sky. Sally backs into the bank, and Everett stands.
Everett. That's the outpost.
All manner of undead and infected spill out into the streets and head toward the commotion.
Everett. Long, they need us. They need me.
He stares at Long, who considers Everett's words. But then Patrick is shoved into the bank by Sam, followed by Zeke.
Sam. Busier than a beehive out here. Regarding Everett. You get your rump in that chair. Everett sits. Sally, regarding Patrick. Why? Sorry, forgot who's speaking. Why is he here? Where's Boone? Sam. Couldn't find him, so this one will have to do.
Sally looks at Zeke, who looks back grimly. Sally looks at Long pleadingly.
Long. Sam, that wasn't the plan. Sam. Well, I'm improvising. Now open that vault, boy.
He shoves Patrick back behind the teller station. He sees something on the ground and jumps back. It's George's disemboweled and mostly eaten body.
Patrick. Oh, Lord. It's Mr. Boone. Sam. It's up to you now, boy. Let's try that again. It's up to you now, boy. Get up.
He shoves Patrick against the vault.
Patrick. I can't. I don't know the combination. Sam. Don't lie to me, son. Whips Patrick. Open it. Whips him again. Open it.
Patrick whimpers pathetically. Zeke and Sally inch closer, faces contorted in anger and compassion. Even Everett is on his feet. He watches Sam, then looks at Long.
Long. Stop. He doesn't know.
Sam pulls Patrick up and pushes him away so that Sam's back is to the vault. He points his rifle at Patrick.
Sam. Long. They always say that. Bet you he'll remember once... Sorry. Bet you he'll remember how once I start shooting fingers off. Sally. We know him, you jackass. Zeke. You leave him alone, you sumbitch.
Bitch.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks. Want to just make that into a soundboard thing? You just hit a button? Sumbitch. No amount of silver is worth this. Sam. A future of easy living is in that vault. And if I have to beat, shoot, or cut the combination out of old Patrick here, then I will. Long. No, you won't.
He puts his hand on the pistol grip. Sam cocks his rifle that's trained on Patrick.
Sam. Christ, Long. You really have gone soft. I should have let you hang. I've been riding with you for 1.5 years, and what do I have to show for it? Nothing.
Behind him, the vault door slowly opens, silently. Sam doesn't notice it, but everyone else in the room does.
Sam. You were supposed to be the fastest gun. Oh, let's try that again. You were supposed to be the fastest gun around, with blood colder than winter snow running through your veins. But that was all talk.
Shuffling out of the darkness of the vault is Prophet, risen as an undead. All eyes watch as he reaches out for Sam.
Sam. Well, I'm tired of waiting for the legend of the Long Fang to come true. I'm taking over this outfit. That silver is mine.
Sam notices everyone staring just over his shoulder. He begins to turn to see what they're looking at. But then...
Long. Sam! Sam snaps back to Long. I want you to know something. I never liked you.
Sam grins and resolves to shoot Patrick when Prophet's hands wrap themselves around Sam's face. He's surprised and struggles as Prophet bites Sam's neck. Thinking quickly, Long hops a desk and kicks Sam and Prophet into the vault. Sam drops his gun and Long shuts the vault door. The screams of Sam bleed out through the vault door as he struggles with Prophet inside. Zeke rushes to Patrick to comfort him.
Zeke. I'm sorry, Patrick. That wasn't supposed to happen. I'm sorry.
Everett takes in the events with astonishment.
Sally. What now? Long. We need to get out of town. Sally. How? The horses are gone. Zeke. The transport from Bisbee.
Sally steps outside and looks down the street.
Sally. I see it. It's coming.
Exterior, Wells Green Bank, continuous. Everyone comes out to see lantern lights of a carriage moving in the darkness toward town.
Zeke. What do we tell them? Long. Whatever we have to.
Suddenly, the carriage stops. It waits on the outskirts for a few moments before it turns around and rides away.
Sally. What the hell?
A bonfire lights up at the point where the carriage turned. Everyone looks at each other before moving back inside. Exterior, Wells Green Bank, roof, moments later. The group spreads out to the four corners.
Zeke. Bonfires. Long. Same here. Marshal? Everett. Yeah, they're all around. Why? Sally. It's the army!
Exterior, bonfire, continuous. Captain Jebediah Crawford watches as Lieutenant Jones directs soldiers. Men light fire. Oh, God. Captain Jebediah Crawford watches as Lieutenant Jones directs soldiers. Men light fires as the company creates a perimeter around the town. Some men drag Gatling guns into place.
Jones. Sir, where should we deploy? Jebediah. I want guns pointed at every entrance and patrols every 100 yards around the perimeter.
Exterior, Wells Green Bank, roof, continuous. Everyone gathers to watch the military operations.
Long. What are they doing? Zeke. Look!
He points at Father Espinoza and a group of people exiting the church. Father Espinoza waves his congregation onward.
Father Espinoza, distant. The army is here to save us!
Exterior, bonfire, continuous. The Gatling guns are set in place just as Father Espinoza and his people are in view.
Jones. Sir, survivors! Jebediah. There are no survivors, Jones. Jones. But sir, they're right there. Jebediah. Where? I only see poor souls afflicted by a horrible disease.
Jones looks at Jebediah, astonished at his determination.
Jones. There must be some who aren't sick. Jebediah. Jones, you saw what just one of those things can do. It decimated us. What happens if one of them reaches another town? Do you want to take that chance? We're going to contain this here. Now, it's up to us. And if there were any survivors, well, that would make us murderers. Are we murderers, Jones? Jones. No, sir. Jebediah. So, do you see any survivors?
Jones looks back grimly. Exterior, road number 2, continuous. Father Espinoza jogs towards the bonfires in the distance while holding the hand of a small child. His small congregation hurries behind him.
Father Espinoza. Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
As they get closer to the bonfires, a loud mechanical clicking emits from the dark. The survivors freeze, trying to discern the noise. Suddenly, the dark lights up in a steady muzzle flash as high-caliber bullets tear through the group. Father Espinoza turns and shields the child with his body as he's riddled with projectiles. Other survivors scream and try to run, but there's no escape from the kill zone. Exterior, Wells Green Bank, roof. Long and company watch the carnage, aghast. Exterior, road number 2, continuous. Finally, the road is silent and littered with still corpses. Father Espinoza's corpse moves after a moment, but it's just the child he was protecting climbing out from underneath him. The child looks around in fear and confusion. From the darkness, the metal clicking begins again.
Ooh, chilling.
Chilly end there. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I wanted to write out that we see the child get obliterated, or if that was going to be kind of crossing the line, crossing the Rubicon there. Instead, I think we're just going to cut back to the roof and, like...
Reactions.
Yeah, like they also can't watch. Like they all kind of like move away from the roof.
Yeah. We're jumping to the end of my points, but I love the way it ended there. I loved it because it was brief and it's kind of chilling, and I don't think you need that next line or two. It's done. You've got it. We know what it is, and you establish that there's a sound. So it's just a sad, reality of what they have to do. So I thought it was cool. Very cool ending. But before we get to notes, perhaps we should do a little bit of reminder to everyone as far as all of our wonderful...
Okay. All right. Let me take care of that. Okay, everybody. So once again, this week I have broken the premise of the show and not posted pages. But once I get back into the groove of things, I will post pages on our website, which is letswritethismovie.com. And... once again, pages will typically go up every Thursday. And when you click on one of the posts, load, there we are, you can scroll down and see where I've put up the week's pages and just click through the pages here. And hopefully you'll have some feedback that you can leave here in the form below. And we will discuss it on our discussion episodes every weekend. Also, if you use Twitter, we are on Twitter, and our handle is @WriteThisMovie. I do respond to every post or every person that engages with us on Twitter. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you just want to say hello, encourage us to keep going, encourage me to keep writing. Always happy to have you be part of the creative process. Let's see. Do you have anything new here? I'm impressed. We have 1,500 followers. That is great. What is this? Oh, someone replied. Or someone liked one of my replies to someone else's post. All right. Anyway, we look forward to you leaving some comments. So let me get back to Brian.
Speaking of comments,
hit me, lay it on me.
Hey man, so this is like a repeat of our last show.
All right,
just another good, solid group of pages to read, man. Another one just kind of flew by. So I don't have a lot to say other than I enjoyed a few of the funny moments. I love that part about where Long has to contemplate himself.
Yeah.
I had a couple of issues with like a geographical understanding.
Okay.
So I pointed those out in here. So if we can go ahead and skip to page 97. When Everett says that's the outpost, right?
Yeah.
All manner of undead and infected spill out into the streets and head toward the commotion. I was trying to understand kind of like where this is happening. Because he says the explosion from the center of town, but it was trying to kind of figure out if this is like, because this is a fairly good sized town from what I understood. Is this something they're seeing in the kind of the mid distance? Is it something that's like 2 streets away? You know what I mean? Because they're going to be seeing some other things going on, like with Father Espinoza,
right?
Clearly able to make out who he is. So
yeah.
Again, I was like, well, is that like a street away or down the same, like main corridor? So I think putting in just some very small geographical clues there would be helpful.
Okay, that works.
So, tiny things on this. So on page 99, Sam says you were supposed to be the fastest gun with blood colder than winter snow running through your veins.
Yeah.
But that was all talk. I think this is a really interesting thing to include because it's kind of redefining who Long is to Everett. That he's already getting the feeling that there's some good to the guy, in that he did help them out. But now, through Sam's complaint, Everett is learning that, hey, maybe he's actually not that. He's a bank robber. Yeah, of course. He's a train robber. He's, there's no doubt about that. But he's not about just cruelly hurting people. Even though I'm guessing he's not going to bridge that, what happened with him and his
right. Yeah.
his family. But he's still getting an interesting perspective of Long. Plus, it helps kind of corroborate what the audience is feeling with Long, because people like Long. They're going to like Long. And so this is like another reason not to. Yeah, he is not Sam. Sam's like one of those guys who's like mostly bad, right?
Yeah.
With a little bit of humor. So I thought this was a good inclusion in here. It was really an interesting little thing to read, because I felt like it didn't have to be, but it was such a cool addition,
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
What was that?
Sycophant.
Yeah.
Everything you wrote is great. All right, so again, that's just more about relations. So the only real note I had doesn't happen, believe it or not, until 102.
All right.
And that is that I don't like when movies explain something like in a moment that logically would have been explained well beforehand. And I feel like this is doing that to some extent. There's a conversation here between Jebediah and Jones that is succeeding a conversation that they had earlier.
Yeah.
Which was, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go do the bonfires. Well, why are we going to do that? What if innocent people are hurt? That conversation already occurred.
Yeah.
So I feel like this should be similar in terms of what Jebediah says, but I think it should be more, taking something from the abstract to, what's the opposite of abstract in this case? But taking something from an abstract concept into reality for him is spooking Jones.
Right.
Right. So he knows it's he should be doing this, but now we're seeing church folk coming at us and children.
Yeah.
This isn't what we talked about, type of thing. And it's kind of like an opportunity for Jebediah to say these things, but say basically, steel yourself. We talked about this. This is exactly what we covered. We talked
okay.
about this.
Yeah. No, that can totally work.
Yeah, it's just a minor flip of what you wrote already.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's a very good note.
Yeah, thanks.
Sycophant.
This is going to have the least amount of notes on it, man. I'm sorry. There's just not a lot here.
No, I meant me. I'm complimenting you.
Great note, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I love your notes.
Yeah.
The best notes. Other than I love the way it ended, which usually it's not the case when you give me these pages. I'm usually like, come on, how could you leave it there? But this is a perfect ending to this
right.
section.
I think that's why I delayed, like when I said I was wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I wondered if I was taking too long. Like, I think maybe you thought like, well, where the hell are the pages then? It's been like 10 minutes, I wanted to get to a point because I was really feeling it. I was like, oh man, this is, the flow, right? Like it's hard to you're in that groove and then suddenly you're at the deadline. It's like, well, got to give it over, It's like, I don't want to lose that creative momentum. So anyway, I thought this was a great way to end it. And I love it when you can achieve an emotion with a line, right? And I think that's what it's able to do here. And that's really rare.
A complex emotion.
Yeah.
It's not just like sadness. It's like, oh man, it's just like, that's one of the worst things to have to read.
Right.
But it's true to the story, I thought that was cool. And it gives some depth to what the soldiers are doing. It's not just like we're doing it to save ourselves. There's a larger world out there that, that then they're trying to contain this outbreak. It makes sense. So I remember when we first talked about the soldiers, and I felt like they were more like evil almost, like this is like the real antagonist in the story, but I don't think so. I think they're doing a job that they think is necessary here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you can understand logically why they're doing what they're doing, which I think is effective, Sycophant.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, great.
Smallest notes section ever.
And
Well, yeah, okay, cut.
I guess we're done. Yeah, but here we are, man. I mean, what are we? 103?
103, man.
I have
Congratulations.
17 pages left to like get everything else in.
Right. 37.
But you know, I'm going back. After I sent the pages over, I was like, you know, I have a little more time here before I need to go to sleep. So I went back to where I was already kind of reducing, and there are other parts that can totally be reduced. So I think
Is Ray still in it?
Ray is still in it, and I think he's going to get like a bigger part, actually. Like he's going to replace some dialogue said by other characters in certain scenes, just because it makes more sense to have certain characters leave and do something else while Ray just kind of like does this, not necessarily story important stuff, but educational important stuff for the audience, like understanding how zombies work and all of that. So, but man, I got some big scenes here that, dude, not gonna fit in 17 pages, you know?
Right. You know who we haven't seen in like an hour? Like 60 pages or so, I'm guessing, is Chief.
I know, exactly. I gotta reintroduce Chief. I gotta reintroduce Mortimer.
Mortimer. Well, Mortimer had some pretty chunky things to do earlier, though.
I know, and that's the thing. People will know.
They won't forget him.
Well, and I don't think no one's going to forget Chief either. He's the only Indian guy, you know? So
it's true.
So it's going to be fine, but you know, you're not just writing for the audience. At least at this point, you're not writing for the audience purely. You're writing for the reader. And if the reader can't remember,
right.
Oh, what did Chief do? Was this guy important? I don't know. You know, then that's a problem.
I think the only ones they'll have problems remembering at this point is going to be, I can't remember their names, so that's a good indicator.
Sarah and Jimmy.
Sarah and Jimmy.
They're the through line, though, bro.
I know.
They're the one good thing, the pure thing in the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to hear some changes to the plot here, Brian?
Upcoming changes or stuff that you're retconning your own stuff? Which one?
It's kind of both.
Okay.
Well, it's retcon in the sense that we had discussed something happening that I haven't written yet, that I said this is how it's going to play out, and now I think I'm going to change it.
Okay, yeah.
So previously, I was going to have Zeke, like, you know, he betrays the group because he's scared, and he leaves and locks the cellar doors behind him as he takes the secret passage himself. Now that I've gotten this far and like we see that, hey, these people are actually, they're like more developed characters.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And maybe I just like him now, where I don't want him to be just this coward that, oh man, you know, let's everybody hate him now. So instead, we think Sam is going to die in the vault with Prophet, but he's actually going to survive, and he's going to kill Prophet in the vault. But he's bitten, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we're just going to see he doesn't know that is the thing that turns people into zombies or whatever. But he's going to, you know, as long as the survivors, the Long's group survivors, as they separate to go do their own things, Sam is going to leave the vault, and he's got like a sizable nugget of silver that's all bloody, and we can assume that he beat Prophet's brains out with this ore, right?
Right.
And so he will overhear that Sally and Zeke are going to go to the bar and use the secret passage to leave, right? But on their way there, they're going to run into Patrick, and then Patrick's going to have to deal with Plain Jane, and it delays them, and Sam will beat them to the bar. And he's the one who locks the cellar door behind him.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how he gets his just desserts, if he wanders into the desert and, you know, becomes a zombie, and he's just a wandering zombie, and that's his fate. Or, you know, if he's waiting there and he's turning and as Long and the group, the final survivors escape. Maybe Long kills him as a kind of like, last revenge kind of thing. Like, it'll feel like full circle.
Yeah.
Some closure. I don't know. I don't know yet, Brian.
Yeah, well, I'm always a fan of the villain or the monster, whatever it is, kind of coming, just keeps coming at you, keeps getting after you, even though you think you got it beaten. So I love the idea of Sam coming back, and I think there's a really nice opportunity to do something that mirrors what just happened. Basically, he gets locked in the vault, and now he's going to lock everyone else behind. I think that's really can be sweet. And if somehow the two mirror each other in a way that people recall what just happened to him, I think that's an awesome way to go.
Perfect. Well, there you go. I love it.
It's a great idea.
Exactly. So this way, everybody gets to, those who die heroically, and the bad guy gets to stay the bad guy, and the audience feels resolved when the bad guy gets his comeuppance.
Or maybe he doesn't get his comeuppance until, part 2.
Until episode 3.
Sad.
All right. Well, there you go. So I think I've got my work cut out for me. I think making good progress here. And, man, the end is nigh, Brian.
I know. Can't wait to see, man. Well, I'm excited. And I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next week's episode.
Yeah, I hope it goes well.
I hope so, too.
Great. All right, Brian, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, man, I think we covered it. Maybe give me some stuff to talk about next time. Drop in some mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Aliens. Aliens come down. All right. In that case, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a subscribe and a thumbs up, and hit the bell for notifications for our next episode, because that is where Brian and I will see you next time.
Well, Renee will see you next time.
Whatever.
We should do the bell.
I don't think.
Ding, ding. It's the Apollo Creed version.
What the hell was that?
Apollo Creed. Remember, he's got his mouth guard in there. He's like, ding, ding. Oh. At the end of Rocky.
Jesus. Well, let me just say,
the bell.
as a little hint, Brian.
No hints.
This is not going to make any sense to you.
Okay.
I had said that Brian and I will see you in the next episode, and I was not lying.
Which Brian?
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.